Yeah,
the 26th of February. My name is Bongikwala, and it's good to have you, all of you listening to this and watching wherever you are on YouTube, on Instagram, connecting with us via Twitter, and however you are connecting to us with us. We really appreciate this moment. Well, this is it's going to be the first State of the Province address since the outbreak of coronavirus late last year. Was early last year, actually, late 2019 and in December, and then 2020. We know that COVID-19 has annihilated jobs. We know that COVID-19 has caused so much pain that it has brought unprecedented social, economic, and political disruptions. It has forced government to rethink. It has forced government to reprioritize its budgets. And we welcome the Premier on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, and we welcome you at home as well, and wherever you are connecting with us. Kakasi FM, Ukozi FM, Vuma FM, East Coast Radio are all streaming this event live. Kuzeni, siyabonga ukuthi ube nathi this afternoon. This we call a listening session because the people of KwaZulu-Natal are looking to you in your government to say, How do we get out of this situation? We know that this is going to be a state of the province address that deals with the economy largely. Firstly, let's welcome you and say thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Perpetua, and thanks to all viewers and listeners and the participants. We welcome the opportunity to engage, and for us it's quite important because in whatever we do, we should ensure that people are involved and they are part of engaging and making contributions. And that's why we said people shall govern.
We start this listening session with the backdrop of the Statistician General today releasing very expected but worrying figures of unemployment in the country, 32%. And you know that there is a narrow definition. The broader definition is much, much bigger than that. When you look at what lies ahead for you on Friday, the 26th, what goes through your mind when, on the eve of that, you receive these figures and you understand the economy of the situation insofar as the economy is concerned?
Well, I would say with no hesitation that we are in the times of crisis. And leading in times of crisis do not need us to lower guards. It needs us to ensure that at all times we are equal to the task and are able to provide leadership. And it is through such platforms like this where we expect that that leadership will emerge, where the leadership should be demonstrated by ongoing engagements, but contributions that seek to take us forward. We are keen to learn from the people, but also to present our views on Friday about how do we respond to this challenge. Clearly, from what the Statistician General presented, we do not need a system that will only grow the economy, but we need a system that will prioritize creation of jobs more than any other thing.
You know, Premier, last year, you had delivered the state of the province address, and I think it must have been the debate in the legislature of the budget when on the 5th of March the news of the arrival of COVID-19 in South Africa was announced, and it happened to be in your province. Talk to us about that moment and what has since happened from that moment until where we are today when you are delivering yet another state of the province address.
Well, it became a point of a big realization that what we have seen at that time in Asia, specifically in China, and what we had seen in Europe was now with us. So it was clear that we are now also faced with this pandemic. At the beginning, all of us didn't expect that it will be so severe. You will know that patient zero, as termed at that time, survived, and the survival gave us hopes that no, we're going to easily overcome the challenge. But sooner we realized, no, this was going to become a challenge. And therefore, we consolidated leadership thanks to the President and the National Minister of Health and Minister of Cooperative Governance for coming together and provide leadership. We had then to deal with anxiety, deal with the real situation where the pandemic was escalating, but then deal with its effect. The lockdown came with the closure of companies, closure of schools, and that was beginning then to show that the socio-economic landscape is getting affected seriously. Hence, we've suffered several blows, whether you talk about social conditions or economic conditions. And then we realized that this was a deadly pandemic as it started costing lives of our fellow colleagues, but fellow compatriots within the society. And then we realized we are dealing with a major challenge. and that is like dealing with a war. We're at a point where we cannot say we've overcome the challenge and we're now fine, but we are hopeful that we will prevail. And therefore, we need to consolidate further. The interventions we've put in place will need to be consolidated further so that we are able to navigate through this. And the introduction of the vaccine helps bring hope, but also it is the only arsenal we have now going forward without deserting the non-pharmaceutical measures that we have been following.
Indeed, this is our listening session with the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Bab KZN, Sihle Zikalala. He will be presenting the State of the Province address on Friday, the 26th. Of course, there are many comments from the citizenry in KwaZulu-Natal, Premier. They want to know what you have for them. They want to contribute to the State of the Province address. And I always say that some people will think that it is cast in stone now. You've prepared your speech, it's done and it's dusted. But I always say that there's an opportunity to still influence some of the notes that go into that. So if you connect, please do connect via social media platforms, and you'll be able to be part of this conversation. We'll be playing different videos from some of the people who are wishing you well during this time as the government, as the leader of the government in KwaZulu-Natal, but importantly, also as just the people of KwaZulu-Natal. So we're going to start reading some of them. This one from Menzi Michael Kwabe, who says, hey leader, ngiyafisa inkulumo yakho ithinte indaba yezolimo. Ngiyazi imihla ngemihla ihlezi ngifaka umbono wami KZN, kodwa futhi uma sicela usizo asilekelelwa. Funding on youth in agriculture, youth empowerment and international collaboration, network business session, and so on and so on. Rural, and I would like to hear more about the rural and township economy, Premier. And the program on fixing local clinic, like Zamazama Clinic under Mangoes. So it's quite a basket of issues, but largely it's about agriculture and youth.
I think this is important, and I think we do need to take it forward. As we prepare for SoNA, I think it talks to issues that we realized some years ago, hence we started the Youth Business Fund, which is going to assist us, especially for the youth in agriculture, because agriculture is not a sunset industry. You will not say there will be time where agriculture will be irrelevant. Agriculture will always be relevant and important as people will continue absorbing and requiring food. And the issue of food security is important. And therefore, the point is raising is quite important. We are going to prioritize it and look how we go with it in terms of ensuring that he is answered and his expectation is accommodated.
But perhaps, Premier, before I continue with some of the contributions from the citizenry, let's look at some of the programs that government has started over a period of time. I understand that there needed to be reprioritization of budgets and so on and so on. But just to see those programs through, just to make sure that they realize that which we're set out for, and they reach the people emakaya la adingeka khona. How do you make sure that these programs are set up? There's Operation Vula, there's RASET, there's all sorts of programs that they get through to where they're meant to go.
Yes, that is important. And to ensure that they go to the constituencies that are a target, we need also to tighten monitoring, because without monitoring, we cannot effectively confirm that or realize what is expected. One, if you are to tighten monitoring, we'll be able to see that each and every investment goes to the intended constituencies. But two, it is important to build collaboration with those who are being assisted so that they will understand that it is not a question of just throwing to them, but we are supporting them in an organic way that will embrace them, that will ensure that they are effective. I think out of the 53 youth enterprises that were supported by the KZN Youth Fund, I can safely say that more than 51, or 51 to be specific, are fully functional. So that tells you of the success rate. And to have a success rate of about 90% or 95% is something serious in business. And that's one area. But secondly, you talked briefly about Raset. And if you look on Raset, the success is now spreading all over from Hirikwala, eThekwini, you go to Ilembe, you go to King Cetshwayo, though there's been challenges in some areas. Then you go to Umkhanyakude, where there's been a very serious success, especially in areas such as Jozini. We have now taken a view that Raset must be not only a pilot for the 6th district, but it must cover all other districts. And that tells you about the success rate and the expectations of our people. And agriculture for us as KwaZulu-Natal is key. So we should drive that. Operation Vula, it's being rolled out. I think the Department of Economic Development is finalizing due diligence in all applicants who are there. And therefore, those are areas that are helpful. But to deal with your question, we must strengthen monitoring. And monitoring must not be about paper, but must be also include physical. That's why we have started also operations Sihle to be there physically and see that projects that we initiate are benefiting the intended beneficiaries.
Okay, I'd like for us to take a couple of videos now. There will be videos who are wishing you well, but there will be videos who are asking questions. Whilst we're preparing those on Operation Sihle. Here is Nomfundo Luke, who says she's from Potchefstroom, talking about they've had no water since 2008. So one of the issues that you had to deal with Operation Sihle in just outside Tindale in Pietermaritzburg on Sunday, Premier. So water is a problem in many parts of Kwandengezi. People are talking about water. It gets cut during certain times of the day. Kwamash is the same thing. What is the problem? Where is the problem? And how are you fixing it?
Well, there is a problem with the issue of water, but we're going to detail our response when we deal with the State of the Province address, where we will get into details. I think if we can lift two challenges that are facing KwaZulu-Natal currently, the first will be water, the second will be the issue of job creation, and maybe thirdly will then be the issue of crime. And these are main challenges. But provision of basic services such as water is quite important. Some of the challenges will include to infrastructure, the dilapidation of infrastructure, but some of the challenges also will be about the source of water, where we must get water. And that's why you have seen some dams that are being constructed in the province.
Okay. We'll talk about localization shortly, but let's go and see some of the videos that the team has put together, people sending their comments, sending their questions, sending their concerns and their queries. Let's start with this.
Now time for us to have our own address as KZN, where Sihle Zikalala will be addressed in the province this coming Friday, the 26th of February.
We will come back to
Remember the date. You
and
guys are
see what
invited
happens.
to
They
engage in this conversation
many
and
questions,
see
of
what
course,
KZN has
that they were taking. So let's continue. It's the listening session with the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Sihle Zikalala. Let's take another question here. It came through via the email address that was set up specifically for this exercise. Bonkosi Leonard says, I'm very much worried about the National Environmental Management Act. Okay. The National Environmental Management Act that is preventing poor and most disadvantaged people of this country. And he goes on to say that I visited your office in Pietermaritzburg in 2018 requesting assistance with regards to EIA. As a cooperative, we want to open up a roof sheet factory here in rural areas of Umzimkhulu. We already have off-take agreements from almost all hardware shops in this district. And there was the former HOD at Etia, whom you sent to assist, seemed to be taking time to intervene. But it's the EIAs and just unlocking that process and making sure that we shorten the period of waiting from however many days, maybe to 90 days. Other provinces are talking 60 days.
Yes, the process of trying to respond, I think on EIAs, we have been able to respond maybe at 90% level. Maybe we were unfortunate, and we must take a blame that the colleague or the fellow didn't get the expected support. We will be able to look on that and refer him to the relevant department, which is Etia. But this time we must then assign people who will help him. And that's why we have established the one-stop shop, which is processing all of these regulatory requirements for people to venture into business. And therefore, we would like to get his details so that we get the team from the relevant unit within Etia to assist him.
Okay, so we'll do that. Here is another one. It says, hi, good people. Amapara in Durban, Pietermaritzburg, it's getting out of hand. It needs Premier's intervention, because if we leave it like this, unsolved or unresolved, we have serial killers in the future. So talking about Amapara, but also talking about hijacking of projects in the province, Premier.
No, thanks. I think this is very important, and I thanks to the point that is raised. We are going to consider this matter and see how do we then incorporate it as we then deal with the programs of the year. We will have to put it, and I think it resonates with some of the views that are already reflected in our thinking as we move toward a SoPA. But we can safely commit that the issue of dealing with what we have termed illegality in our CBDs and the surrounding is prioritized. The level of crime, and that will involve Amapara, it will involve drugs, and all of that, including human trafficking. It will involve illegal trades, whether you talk of a spaza or you talk of a bigger shop, wholesale or what. But it also involves people who are in our communities without permits. All of those things need to be addressed, but be addressed legally. The issue of the forums, I think forums are undermining all efforts we are doing. The effort of building the economy and transform the economy is an important one. And radical economic transformation, it's important, but the forums are not people who want, some of them are not the ones who want development, who want to venture into business, but they exhort. They want to get money without working, which is wrong and cannot be accepted. And that's why we say the law enforcement is going to be strengthened, and we will hit hard on all of those who are doing such things.
All right, babukeli lapha ekhaya noma ngabe ukuphi noma ngabe usibamba ku-Instagram noma ngabe ku-YouTube noma ngabe ukuphi noma ngabe ufanele yiphi indlela. Sino Premier
inputs or suggestions to the Premier before he delivers the state of the provincial address. Previously, during President Zuma's term, and also during President Ramaphosa's term now, which is the current term, they've always stressed the importance of small businesses to be given support, as they are the engine of the South African economy. Now, Mr. Premier, I wish to know from you, how do you plan to help stimulate and finance small and medium enterprises, especially those who are women owned. Because women in South Africa have not been given fair enough opportunities. We've always talked about how we want to give women opportunities, but we have not done so. The other thing is, Honorable Premier and your government, the lockdown effects has had far devastating and consequences on employees of the tourism industry.
Sector, the labor, and all other sectors. And so, social compacting, the compact, will be important as we go forward. But that is for us to unite as stakeholders. But what we think is important is to launch an aggressive plan that will take us forward. And therefore, the opportunity should be, the opportunity to present SONA should be about trying to take the society in a united approach and move the society to embark in a very aggressive plan that will take all of us forward. Because right now, people are disillusioned. Some are disillusioned because of the high rate of death we've seen, especially from COVID. Some are disillusioned because COVID have resulted in unemployment where people have been retrenched. Some are disillusioned because they've not had work for a long period. Even before COVID, they were not working. And some are disillusioned by the fact that they are possessing some academic qualifications, but they don't get work. Some are disillusioned by a high level of crime affecting their localities. So we must build a united front for an aggressive upward movement for all our people. It should not be just the few, but it should be the upward mobility of all our people for the better.
Let's look at the mega projects here, Premier. I mean, we know that the aviation business, the LF strategy of the province is struggling right now. It's not only the KwaZulu-Natal that is struggling, across the world, because the aviation business is struggling. There's also the port now, the talk of the port, certain containers relocating to the Eastern Cape. So it's a big talk that needs to happen. That is one of the anchors of the economy. What is your thinking around those particular issues? Those big projects, the property business as well, slowing down a little bit because of the demand, and so on and so on. So what is your thinking around those projects?
Well, as we are saying, the port, thanks to that question, the president have committed that Durban Port will be a hub for not only SADC, but for the continent. And therefore, it will mean that mega projects are expedited. While there is a view that Kuga will also accommodate container terminals, we does not mean by that there will be no container terminal in KwaZulu-Natal. In fact, it is going to be built and it is going to be bigger. We are just from a meeting this afternoon. We started this afternoon, myself and MEC Pillay had a long marathon meeting with Minister Pravin Gordhan about the issues of the port and how the development that is expected will unfold. Also the management of the Transnet led by Portia, the group CEO. So we are finalizing that plan and we are clear, and some of the things we are agreeing on will be part of our state of the province address.
Okay, that's interesting. And in terms of aviation, are you going to adopt a wait and see? Because there's an Aerotropolis master plan that is pretty much approved right now, waiting to be implemented. So what happens?
Well, there can't be a wait and see approach, but there must be an approach that seeks to ignite, rather than saying, no, we will see when the situation becomes conducive. We must cultivate conditions to produce conducive environment. Things are not happening on their own. They need someone to work on. And therefore, in terms of the Electropolis Master Plan, the aviation, we are continuing, but we cannot say that we will hit at a high level we expected. You can't right now continue with the plan we had. For instance, before, we had a plan that we will get the China airline flying between China and KwaZulu-Natal. Because of the lockdown and number of restrictions, you can now focus on that strategy. But you do need to revise and focus on how to grow the aviation. Clearly, domestically, when we rise, we need to ensure that aviation is growing, to also ensure that it link all sectors and all cities. We must link with Eastern Cape easy. We must link with Free State and other provinces, because there is growth in various cities.
At Msunduzi municipalities to help return the capital city to its former glory. Alukho usuku oludlula KZN ingakhulunywanga uMsunduzi ngola ama-challenges akhona, ugesi and so on and so on. Marxist on Twitter says, please give us a clear direction on how KwaZulu-Natal government aims to revive municipalities like uMgungundlovu and other 8 municipalities which are under administration. Marxist law. Stembile Dlamini says, umasipala sicela basinake. Service is very bad. Izibi zihlala emagaqeni uze udele. So Msunduzi, Peter Maritzburg, Greater Peter Maritzburg, and just municipalities.
Yes, I think this is about the municipalities in totality. We will present our approach. We think that the colleague who speaks about Peter Maritzburg is correct. We will interact. We are at the final stage of trying to formulate the intervention that will be complementing what is happening in Msunduzi. We must say that in Msunduzi, we had an intervention that happened before or leading to 2019 or last year. That intervention, it was in fact 2019, it assisted us a bit to bring stability and the functioning of the council. It assisted us to ensure that some of the administrative processes are beginning to be put in place. So the collapse that was there has been addressed, but what have not been felt is the effect on the ground, changing of the situation. So for that to happen, we are going to see how to work with Msunduzi and expedite that plan. We are going to respond to that.
Because inkinga enkulu Premier ukuthi some big companies that are there are almost on the brink of losing their contracts, or they must relocate because kune issue energy supply, and they are faced with that with the choice of leaving the city or losing their contracts. So there must be an government fanele asukume masinyana ngenelele. So maybe practical intervention
The plan is there. It is detailed. It is to bring back all stakeholders led by the province, build the technical capacity to ensure that all issues of electricity are addressed. The plan includes drawing ESCOM to play much more bigger role to address the challenge of Umsunduzi. So we can safely say that the industries are going to be supported. But in Umsunduzi, one thing that we need to also address is how we address this issue of non-payment by the very same big companies that are there, some of the big companies, and by the very same people who are supposed to pay. So there is a challenge we need to address where some companies collude with officials so that they avert paying. And we will be taking up that, but we hope the plan will be presented as we go forward. Lastly, on issues of other municipalities, we are working on how to ensure that all 11 municipalities that are under the provincial administration are capacitated, and we're happy to see others that are improving quite well, and those that are improving will also see us leaving those municipalities to work on their own. However, with the support now of the district development champions, MECs who are attached to those districts.
Okay, the issue of unemployment, Premier, as it was to be expected, will keep coming up in different shapes, forms, and sizes. We'll probably come back to this one. I highlighted the issue of localization, and to practicalize that issue, that regions and wards produce now for the local economy, so that there is circulation of money before it leaves the municipality, the local municipality and the district, and that people of the district buy from within their suppliers there. That is what localization is about. But how are you interpreting it, and what is the plan to make sure that localization happens and it is supported, and it's supported by government and it's supported by industry?
Well, the plan is quite clear. Localization will be important. The localization will continue under the Operation Vula, which we launch. It has one leg, which is called RASET, which deals with the issue of agriculture. But there are other segments: local bakeries, manufacturing of digitants and cleaning chemicals, manufacturing of toilet papers, furniture, manufacturing, which include manufacturing of coffins as well, localized clothing and textile for people to venture into production of clothes, including uniforms, whether uniforms for workers or uniforms for students, localized in terms of ensuring that the linen for hospitals are bought from the local communities. All of these is a package that is under Operation Vula, and we are going to unpack it and see how do we go forward in terms of its implementation.
Okay, I should have some videos now already, because I know that the people of KwaZulu-Natal sent tons and tons of videos to ask you, Premier, directly. I'm not too sure if that area has been sorted out. We'll try and fix it and see if we can get those videos. But let's continue with the questions. There is a Hlengi with Lamin who says, "Good afternoon, sir. I'm one of the social workers who was employed on COVID-19 contract that is supposed to end 31st of March this year. I'm asking that you raise our concern on the speech that you are going to deliver, so that then our contract is extended."
We note the issue. We will take it up when we deal with the state of the province, and definitely we will try to look on how to address the issue that Stembile is raising. Definitely it is an issue that should be concerning not only her, but also for ourselves, because the challenge of the gender-based violence is not yet over. It is still affecting us, and therefore we commit that we will try to look on how we address that as we go to the SoPA.
Okay. The SoPA is on Friday, people of KwaZulu-Natal. So that's where all these plans will be unpacked. And we are glad that you could join us there as well, because it will be broadcast live, many platforms, media platforms. But we are live on the social media platforms of Vuma FM, of Kakas FM, Ukhozi FM, East Coast Radio as well. We are with the Premier of the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Sihle Zikalala, and we appreciate the time that he has given us to be able to chat to him and for you to ask the questions as well. Our chat room is open as well. You can get in there and send your questions. I can see many questions are coming through right now, so we'll be reading those questions. Sizobheka namanye-ke aqhamukile namanye abethunyelwe esikhathini esiphambilini. Ke sikhulume nje ngesifunda saKwaZulu-Natal, sibheke ukuthi yini esingayibheka-ke uma ngabe kwethula inkulumo yesifunda ngomhla ka-26 February, kuyo le nyanga ephezulu, sekuyinsuku nje ezimbalwa. Okay, ake sikhulume Premier. Enye into esithanda ukukhathaza kube isimo sezepolitiki eprovinsini, isimo sokubulawa kwey'nduna sike savela saba isimo esikhathazayo, usukumile nalapho walibheka lelo daba. Kodwa usitshela ukuthi mhlambe ukusebenzisana namaphoyisa investigation ikhomba ukuthini. Siyazi isifunda sethu sinenkinga yokubulawa kwabantu kuxhumene nezepolitiki, osopolitiki bayabulawa and so on and so on. Manje sekuvela le ndaba, nithola ukuthi yini imbangela nanokuthi i-intervention ye-province ithini la?
Well, firstly, imbangela could be traced well because under the leadership of the then Premier, Willis Mchunu, we appointed a commission which was led by Advocate Mwerane, which unearthed a lot of issues. But these issues were clearly about, one, the intra-party politics which relate to the selection of candidates for local government. The second was the issue of influence on business or employment. Then the third was the influence of business in general, including those who are outside. But that is in a main relating to the killings of political leaders, the public representatives. And therefore, we've put in place, the national team that have been working on those issues led by Minister Clay. But secondly, we are now faced by the killing of traditional leaders. This take a form of two, killings of Amakosi, but killings of Izinduna. We are investigating the causes, and the police are also investigating these cases in all areas. I think the last, may his soul rest in peace, Inkosi Yasogwini, I think Yawatsele, we would like to send our condolences once again. But we are working on all of these. These are issues that relate, if you look, firstly on disputes, on who becomes a leader, Inkosi endaweni. But secondly, it becomes the dispute about Izinduna. The problem is that Izinduna are now paid, and therefore, uba induna, uma usuxoshwa, kuba inkinga nyana, and ayikho kahle imigomo elawula lokho. And therefore, we need to put all of those issues together, but the cases must be investigated because that is crime. Killing is crime. And therefore, police are working on ensuring that they investigate those cases.
Sisakhuluma ngezepolitiki province. Would you say KwaZulu-Natal has reached a stage where politics has matured, that we, after the Mwerane Commission, after the reports that we got, we did not really see an upsurge in terms of the killing of political leaders, but you'll find those instances here and there. Are you getting a sense that politically the province is maturing, perhaps, and that then will create an environment conducive to attract investment? Or we still have serious problems?
Well, in terms of governance, politically, we are at a matured level. But in terms of the citizenry, we are maturing. People are now able to live in one village while they believe and subscribe to different political ideas and different political parties. So we must appreciate that development. You get now people converging in one activity. You find ANC people, IFP people, NFP people, and others. So you will say that the level of political tolerance is improving day by day, year by year, election by election. And then the governance system is stable. We must say that because the governance which is in power now, the governance system is able to ensure that investors are assisted when they come here. There might be from time to time disruptions that take place, but those are not about political issues. You will find that they are led either by people because they are aggrieved because of traditional dispute or because of access to opportunities in those areas, economic opportunities.
Okay. We've got to talk about corruption and leakages. There must be a clear plan there, Premier.
Yes, we are going to unpack an account because if you talk about corruption, we will not be interacting with that issue as if we have been outside. So we must first and give an account, and we will do that on Friday to say what is it that we've done to deal with corruption. But secondly, going forward, what is it that will be done to address corruption? So that is quite important, and we would like to get the views from communities and our people as to what must be done. Because corruption does not necessarily happen there. It also happens where we live, where people are supposed to build houses and they don't build houses, where people are supposed to put water infrastructure and that is not implemented. So what will be important is to build on this social compact a front that will work around fighting corruption in all areas. But we will detail that on Friday as to what are the key areas that we will be taking forward in terms of dealing with corruption.
Earlier this week, you highlighted, of course, the rollout of the vaccine in the province and working with the Department of Health nationally and the province as well. Still a long way to go, but where are we in terms of receiving the vaccine and rolling out the vaccine? Are there plans in place? Are they foolproof to make sure that we don't see all the shenanigans that we saw with the PPEs?
The plans are in place. I think the arrival of the vaccine helped us to restore confidence that government is taking care, especially of the healthcare workers, and would want to applaud and thank the healthcare workers for the work they continue to do. And we thank that they've came out in numbers to get vaccinated. We will be able to quantify the number of people who have already taken a vaccine, but we know that we, as the province, have been given about 10,000 vaccines, and therefore we expect to prioritize the health workers. It must be clear. It is not that some who are in government, as I've seen that the MEC did not take the vaccine out of her choice. No, it is not out of her choice, but it is solidarity with the healthcare workers to ensure that the health workers must be prioritized, and in the second batch, she will then also participate. So that is the approach, and the vaccination program is going well in all areas that have been identified.
The advent of COVID-19, Prima, also much as it created devastation, but brought opportunities, different opportunities for government to do things differently. It brought opportunities to fast track digitalization. Where are we with that? Because there is also a message here. It's a question, in fact, a request. It comes from Konzo Kumalo, who says, in partnership with the Smart Exchange and the Tegwini Municipality under Siya Digitizer campaign, we visited a number of businesses to digitize them by putting their products online. They're talking about the pink area, Phoenix, Nanda, Kwamashu, and so on and so on. So would like to plead with the Premier's office to partner with us to help more small business owners remain sustainable. If these businesses grow, they get to employ more people.
He is quite correct, and I've been in platforms of the eThekwini, this Smart Exchange program.
Right.
Quite an effective program, and I think he is correct. We can partner with them, especially the Youth Directorate in the Premier's office, but ETIA as a department will be instructed to partner with them to ensure digitalization, especially of enterprise that are owned by youth and that are located in townships, and that will help us. So I think that is important. But what is also important is to continue roll out infrastructure, which the government is doing. Key to that is to prioritize the rollout of the broadband, and we will be looking on all of those issues.
So as we're nearing the end of this program, Premier, I just want to ask for you to outline, I know you've touched on it, I know it will be unpacked on Friday, but the post-COVID economy of KwaZulu-Natal, what will it look like? And I see Nalu Zalola Umakhuzen also saying, please, Premier, highlight how the post-COVID-19 economy will grow and also unlock new opportunities for many, especially youth who lost their jobs during this difficult time.
Yes, the economic recovery plan is anchored on, firstly, ensure an economy that is seriously transformed. So radical economic transformation, for that matter, will be the first. But secondly, the whole issue of jobs, as I said, the creation of the economy that does not create jobs is well and good, but not for us. What is important is to transform and ensure creation of jobs. There are a number of sectors that have been identified for job creation, and we will detail that. The strategy on creation of jobs is key. And we listen to all people who have spoken from last week till now, and they are, the majority are raising the issue of jobs, and therefore we will take that issue up.
So are there any key drivers perhaps that you would like to highlight now, just to give us a sense of where to look?
Obviously, issues of infrastructure, for instance, but issues of labor absorbing industries will be piloted, will be the one that are supported to ensure that they create more jobs.
People in the rural areas, where should they look?
In the rural areas, rural development itself should help us to create jobs, should help us to ensure that the industries that are there, because agriculture is one industry. How do we grow it? It's important. And how do we ensure that there is effective growth in all subsectors of industry, of agriculture, is quite important. Then after agriculture, then the whole issue of agro-processing comes into the place.
Are we not doing things the same old way, Premier, even now when there is an agency for us to do things differently? Are we not the government that keeps creating programs? I'm looking at the district development model. Are we adhering to that? Because that was hailed as the program that will change how government synchronizes the way it works. Are we adhering to that in the province of KwaZulu?
We are, and we are taking it up in a strong way. The district development model is very important in enhancing the intergovernmental relations. So ensure that the national, provincial, and districts work together, and local municipalities. In that way, we will be able to respond quick on issues that are affecting the community. But in that way, we will be able to plan together and synergize our plan, and no MEC or minister will just parachute without the knowledge and the involvement of the lower spheres of government. So that will synergize, and that's why when it was launched, we said through the president. This is a plan, and it is a plan for one budget, one plan, one implementation program. So when the municipality develop the budget, the province must also develop the budget that relate with what the municipalities are saying. But the national should also complement that integrated development plan.
Okay, many questions are coming through now, Premiers. I thought we were wrapping up. Shavak Pinar says, the Premier asked you on SAFM December 2019 to consider setting up an advisory panel on land issues in KwaZulu-Natal. The President's panel had no one from the National Khoi and San Council on the panel. There are Griquas who remain landless in this province. How will you address the wrongs of the past against the Griquas of East Griqualand in KwaZulu-Natal?
I think it's correct, the panel, but we cannot have panels in areas where we need to implement. And the view of a panel, well and fine, but the question, how do we ensure that agriculture, especially the distribution of land, is enforced in a systematic way? And that's why we have said, let us all contribute on the bill in a process of amending the section 25 to allow expropriation without compensation. But two, we're saying the farms that have been distributed must be productive. So it is important to look holistically on these issues. But the issue of a panel is going to be well and fine considered, but the more important thing is how to ensure effective productivity of our own land that is already distributed, and the one that is not distributed should be distributed back to the people.
Mbusiswa N says we need an SMME jobs creation war room to address barriers stifling entrepreneurs and the frustrating entrepreneurs in township and rural areas. Can we address that? And there's another one that the Premier student leadership of KZN currently camped outside the university's main campus. I'll read that one in detail. But the war room on job creation for young people.
Well, the war room on jobs is quite important, and I think that will be followed. We will see how do we take it forward, but we will try to consider that. Jobs are important, and as I've said that, we've dedicated the whole focus to jobs and stability in KwaZulu-Natal. So we'll take up that issue quite serious.
Right. The final one, of course, from Nandu Misuzwane. Students camping outside the KZN campus, their cry is financial exclusion. I know perhaps it's not the provincial competency but you must be able to speak to Dr. Blaine Zimande and say, here is the problem that I'm sitting with at KZN.
Well, firstly, through the Department of Education here, because we assigned the Education MEC, Mshengu, we are interacting with the stakeholders in KZN, all of them, trying to get to understand what is happening and thereafter try to engage with the minister. So that process is in place. We have started, I think as of yesterday, we had started engaging with stakeholders, and we will engage with the student leadership of KZN to take up all of those issues and finally take those matters with the minister.
Wrapping up, Premier, so I just want to get a parting shot from you to the people of KwaZulu-Natal who are watching this, who have been watching you in action, watching your government in action, and they are frustrated and they are hungry, they are jobless because many establishments have closed. The Hilton is leaving, Playtex and many others. What can you say to them to assure them that the government is at work to turn the tide against the poverty, against joblessness, against the annihilation of jobs and the closing down of businesses?
Well, firstly, let's understand that the adversities of the nowadays environment are not out of the making of anyone, but it's because of the conditions imposed by natural diseases such as COVID. But that is not a scapegoat. We cannot use it for all issues that are affecting the economy. We do have a detailed plan to revive all industries, including tourism. And we would want to see all of us participating and create jobs. We will detail that plan in the launch of the Economic Recovery Plan in KwaZulu-Natal. And we have a comprehensive plan, but we don't want plans for the sake of plans. We want to see those plans being implemented. And therefore, when we talk about these issues, we will ensure that we move now to implementation. And therefore, Friday, we will start unpacking the aggressive implementation approach that we would want to see taking us forward.
Premier, thank you very much. We look forward to your State of the Province address on Friday. Will it be a happy State of the Province address, or a sad one, or the one that talks to realities on the ground and the challenges, the real challenges that we are facing?
We, of course, come from a school of thought of telling no lies, claiming no easy victories. So we will be more realistic, but providing relevant solutions to our people.
Premier, we thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Mpepetua, and thanks to all of those who have sent us questions or contributions. We take them serious and we value them. We will ensure that those that can be incorporated are incorporated. Thank you.
All right, we must apologize to all those that we were unable to reach and read their comments, and they are pleased with the Premier and the videos that he had sent through. We will make sure that we play those via different platforms of the KZN provincial government. But for now, we leave you with some of the videos. I think some of them are able to play now. We shall see you on the 26th of February at this at 9 o'clock in the morning. We'll see you then. Thank you very much for watching. Much appreciated. Good night.
Now time for us to have our own address as KZN, where Sihle Zikalala will be addressing the province this coming Friday, the 26th of February 2021. Remember the date. You guys are invited to engage in this conversation, and let's see what KZN has in store for us this year.
I would like to thank the KZN government for allowing us as the people to also have a say on what we think they can do to improve people's lives this year. If we can build our own television broadcasting facilities right here in KZN, that can help the entertainment industry a lot. I'm looking forward to the State of the Province address on the 26th of February, when Ubaba Sihle Zikalala tells us his plan and how he thinks we can be able to grow KZN.
Please do join the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Umhlonishwa Sihle Zikalala, on all social media platforms and the provincial government website on the 26th of February 2021 as he delivers the State of the Province, unpacking the process of what has been achieved so far and what more can be done to attract investment, job creation and radical economic transformation. Help us develop and transform KZN and bring change for the better. Hashtag KZN SoPA 2021. Let's grow KwaZulu-Natal together. Ngiyabonga kakhulu.